Do you have a name for this gym?
Call it S&B Powerhouse. Strong and Beautiful Powerhouse.
Strong and Beautiful. All right, so we're here at the S&B Powerhouse with Nate, and I mean, you can see behind me. Look at all these holds. It is packed in here. We're gonna give a full tour, but first I want to say thanks to Nate for opening up your home gym for us. Maybe just start off. Why did you decide to build a home gym in your garage?
I guess the main reason was the gym that we had climbed at looked like it was going out of business. Mm-hmm. And the other two gyms that were nearby were about 25 minute drive. And so logistically thinking, by the time I get home from work, get the kids, drive to the gym, across town, it wasn't going to be feasible other than climbing on the weekends.
Right.
And so I just thought, and plus I wasn't real psyched on the bouldering that they have there, and I'm much more of a boulder than a sport climber. They got really nice tall sport routes that are slight overhung vertical, but I want something more steep. And so I just thought that, realistically, if I just built my own gym in the garage, and I could climb way more. Yeah. And since I've had kids, I used to go from, my wife and I would climb 4 or 5 days a week, in the gym. And then once we had kids, that, slowed down a lot, and it really impacted our ability to climb. And by the time I got there, and you'd be babysitting the kid or something, you're watching, making sure they're not getting crushed by some other fallen climber. So we just figured, I said, I just want my own home wall. I've, had other friends with home walls, and we've made them, and I just thought, I'm going to do it and have my own.
Awesome. Very cool. And how many years have you had this?
October 2019 is when I basically started putting it together, and it was kind of done within maybe 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Very cool. So we're going to go ahead and kind of look around all the features and have Nate share some of his thought process, why he made certain decisions. We'll probably end up having a climbing session here too, so let's check it out.
Okay. So when I was designing it originally, 45-degree angle is my favorite, so I wanted to build a 45, and my wife was like, no, I want a steeper angle. So she was used to climbing at the Belly and the climbing gym that we climbed at, and it was a little bit steeper. So looking at kind of how our cars fit, we got a minivan and a Subaru. I figured, okay, what's the steepest angle I can fit that will still fit kind of over the minivan, and it ended up being 60 degrees. So we split, got an 8-foot by 14-foot 60 degree and an 8-foot by 12-foot 45 degree, broken with just a vertical kind of transition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you've done a good job with like the volumes to vary it, and
the volumes are kind of crucial to kind of help it. Otherwise, it was just a little too easy. You climb steep stuff, and then you hit jugs, and you get this big rest, and then sometimes it was difficult to get out of. You're going from real kind of casual moves to then getting back into some harder crimps or something, pulling hard. It's a 2-foot kicker, not ideal, but based on the car, I had to get if it was anything shorter, it would have been hitting the hood of the van. Mm-hmm. So I had to go with 2-foot.
Yeah, look, guys, check out how tricky these footholds are. Like every foothold is a tricky foothold, and then you got a little bit of like a transitional vert here, mostly for feet probably as you're going up to 60, or
this is just the kid wall. We call it the rainbow wall, but it's primarily for my kids. When I was first set, my son was 3, and so it was a little bit of a challenge, and when my daughter was 5, and so she could climb that pretty easy. And the whole left side of this is just jugs. Yeah. So I just found the easiest for kids to how to transition. You can keep your feet on the vertical, slight overhang before they start venturing out and doing problems.
And then you got some kind of cool rail finish jugs up here too on both walls, it look like.
Yeah, it's just a big dowel. Pretty positive, and it's nice and friendly.
Yeah, I've always found just find little things that your wall makes you do. So you guys will see here, you did some dowel work here as well on this ret. Makes it pretty tricky. Way to bump up the ret.
Yeah, part of that is just because you got this sharp edge of the plywood, and I wasn't real psyched about that, but the dowel actually creates a nice, crimp that you can crimp, or you can get a toe hook or heel hook on, and you do not catch that sharp edge.
Cool.
disguises some of my carpentry imperfections.
Yeah. You went over and above with the stability of this. You went with 2x8 framing, it looks like.
Yeah, got 2x8s running the lengthwise. I beefed up the ceiling joists, so most of my garage just has like one 2x10 every 4 feet or so. But
yeah.
So I tripled them up. So I've got 3 different sets of beams that I tripled up.
We got storage back here, so there's 2x8, and then available storage for anything he needs back here. And when we talk about this being a gym, like this is a real gym. Like he's got wall-to-wall padding here, over a foot thick, I'd say, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How about this one? Where do you get your holds from, or how do you get your holds to have this kind of density and collect them? I'm sure it's been over the years, but what's your tip and trick for?
Yeah, well, you can see like a ton of like old school, like got these old school voodoos, you know. A lot of these holds I started off with came from, you know, gym I started climbing at back in 1992 when it originally, I managed it for a while, and then eventually it went out of business, got shut down, and so the manager at the time was selling holds, buck a hold, right, really cheap.
Wow.
So bought a bunch of holds, and that's when we built our kind of first own home wall after that, because we wanted to keep climbing, and there was no decent climbing gym around. Then they were selling holds for $3 a pound. So I bought a ton, as much as kind of I felt I wanted or needed at the time. I should have bought more.
Yep.
But, you know, in hindsight, you know, you can see it's pretty dense. It took a while to fill up, but.
Yeah, why don't we jump into, like, how do you feel like training at home translates to, like, your goals, whether it's outdoors or whatever?
For me, training by myself, sometimes it's hard. You know, I'm someone that is driven by competition. So climbing with my buddies really, you know, amps up, gives me a little more adrenaline and more, you know, fire to, you know, to train. You can't beat having your own gym. You know, anybody who's thinking about it, make it. You know, you're not going to regret it.
Yeah.
It really is our favorite place to be.
All right, so thanks a bunch, dude. You guys should check out this playlist up here. It's going to be all of the tour videos of home walls that I've done. And if you're getting good stuff out of this content, I'd love it if you click the chains on the subscribe button down there, and we'll see you in a future video.